Welcome to the Women Abroad podcast. I'm your host, Lizet Esquivel. This show is part of the section Women Who Inspire, where you will learn stories and experiences of successful female expats from all over the world. They will share with us the secrets that nobody is willing to tell you about living overseas. Welcome to another episode of Women Abroad. I'm Lizet Esquivel, global editor of Welum.com, and today we're going to travel to Belgium with Karen. Karen here is with me. So Karen Hodgson, she's from UK and moved to Belgium. She's an entrepreneur, a certified NLP and business coach, and RTT practitioner. She will tell us more a little bit what she does. But Karen, thank you very much for joining me today in Women Abroad.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me, Lizet. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. And well, let's get started with the first question. You are from UK, right? So why did you move to Belgium? Tell us your story.
It's a long story. I was born in the UK. My mother is of Belgian origin, but that's not the reason why I moved back to Belgium. And my father, British. So I was born in the UK there in a long time ago. I won't tell you the year, but a long time ago. And it was always my mother's dream to come back to Belgium because her parents were here and the whole family was over here, except for my father's side, which is a tiny little family compared to hers. And so she always wanted to move back to Belgium. And I was actually the key for her moving back to Belgium. Didn't know it in the beginning, but I was the key. So it was back in 1975 when the UK joined the European Union that I was recruited to be one of the first batch of Brits to come in to work at the European Commission. So that was why, that was the how and the why I got here. So now that the UK has left with Brexit, has left the European Union. I've left the European Union a long time ago because it wasn't me. It wasn't me. But I'm still here in Belgium because I've got my family.
You fell in love with Belgium.
Well, it's not exactly falling in love with Belgium, but I had met my first husband. I've got 3 children now, but I divorced the first husband as well. I divorced the commission as well, but I've still got the children and we've got grandchildren. I have now a partner who's Belgium, another person. And I'm doing great in Belgium, actually.
Where you moved, right? So and how many years have you been living there?
Well, I came in 1975. So that's, I'm useless at maths. So how many would that be? A long time. Over 40 years.
Yeah. Very, very long time. You're more Belgian than British.
Oh. I guess you could say so. Well, yeah, because I think I am more Belgian than British. When I go back to Britain, to the UK, people say, where do you come from? You know, and I'm thinking, the last time I went to my hometown, somebody said to me, where do you come from, love? And I just said, here? Really? And I just said, yeah. Yes, and
you're more no. It's you have so long living out of the country. Change everything. And before, we know that you are a life coach and practitioner, RTT. But before that, tell us a little more about your background before you became a coach.
Before that, okay. Well, then I worked for over 20 years in the European Union. In the Commission, so the central body, you know, of the European Commission, and the building that's like a star shape there, that shape, the Berlaymont. So that's where I worked, and in various departments, I was one of the assistants there. So we moved from department to department. The work is basically the same, whether you're in agriculture or infrastructure or whatever. It's basically the same. So you can just really move from one place to another to get more experience. But the type of work that I was doing, it wasn't me. It was not the person who I am. So it was okay. It was good to work there. It was a typically European Eurocrat environment, of course. And it's like a country within a country, if you can understand what I mean by that.
Yeah.
So it was as if it was based in Belgium, but we were not in Belgium, you know?
You
Something a
didn't
bit
feel
like,
comfortable with that kind of life and activities.
well, it was comfortable with that kind of life for a certain time, yes. For a few years, yes. But then I started to get bored because it wasn't me. It just wasn't what I wanted to do deep down inside, and I knew that. But I had children to bring up, and they were at the European school, which is absolutely fantastic for them. So I had to wait for the right moment. And the right moment just happened to be when our marriage broke down as well at the same time. So that was might not have been the perfect moment, but it was the right moment to do that. So I just left the European Commission, and I left the husband at the same time, which was might not have been very intelligent, put it this way, but I didn't look back. I just, was just looking, I was sat in the flat and looking at these four walls, and I said, oh dear, now what have I done, kind of thing. But I've done it, and that's all there is to it. So I always look forward. But
then you decided to be a coach. So when this happened, no?
Still not, because I still didn't realize who I was. You've got to find out who you are. I went into corporate, except this is where the difficulty lay. Coming from the Commission, which is in the European background, and going into corporate life in Belgium, they don't like the officials of the European Union.
Why?
Because, well, first of all, we don't have a very good reputation. We have the reputation of, I'm talking about back then, we had the reputation of having huge salaries, not working very much, which is totally untrue. We did have a good salary, but we worked very hard. We were on call 24 hours a day. And weekends and everything, we worked very long hours. And the fact that we had a lot of mobility, so doing the same work but in different departments, that was looked as being unstable in Belgium. So it was actually a hindrance more than an advantage. So it was very hard to get a job in corporate, which is, it's just very difficult to understand, because you would think that it was a really good experience. And it was.
Very impressive experience.
Yes, but not for the corporate life here. And the fact that I spoke 6 languages. I don't know, it was very, very strange, because I went to each interview and I thought, but I speak 6 languages and, I know all of this stuff. And I just figured out later on, I said, I know too much. That was the problem.
You see, what languages do you speak? Tell us.
Well, okay, so English, obviously. Then I'm fluent in French, Dutch, German, Italian. I do speak Spanish a little bit. That makes 6 of them, yeah. We lived in Norway for a year, so I did speak Norwegian, but I'm not counting it now, so that would have been the 7th. So I've forgotten that a little bit.
You had an amazing background then, and it's kind of weird that it was difficult for you to settle in Belgium in the corporate world.
Yes, it was very difficult. It was very, very difficult, and it took quite a while before I actually found a job. And that was when I just realized how difficult it would actually be to settle into the life as a normal, everyday citizen, because when you're in the European Union, you're not a normal citizen of Belgium. Do you understand what I mean by the difference?
Yeah, but why? For the kind of custom or the way of life, or how you say that?
Being accepted, and it's not even being accepted as being British. That made no difference. It never has. It never has made a difference. It was the transition from the European institutions to the Belgian corporate world. I knew too much. That was it. And they were also always telling me, but we cannot pay you the commission salaries. And I said, well, yeah, I know that. That's not the problem. I know that. I do know that. And is that not a problem for you? No. but it seemed to be a problem for them. So it took me a long time to find a job. So being British had nothing to do with the fact it was Europe, the European Union.
The salary, the conditions, all the you were
Yeah.
you were used to have, and
Yeah.
they couldn't afford that kind of
And
salary.
they didn't even accept that maybe it was my choice to leave, because it was my choice to leave. So I knew all of that. That was where the point, that was the difficulty. And then having got a job in corporate life, I had a few jobs in corporate because I didn't like any of them really, what was offered to me. And then what happened then? Yeah, I became an English teacher. Sounds strange, but I decided, okay, there are international schools. We've got private language schools. I could teach my own language, couldn't I? That's the way, my reasoning. So yeah, I could teach my own language. And that was, it just gobbled me up straight away because I was the perfect teacher. I could teach English, Dutch, German, Italian. I could teach everything in French, so that was perfect. But it was okay for a number of years. But it's really, really hard work. And with years,
and the salaries are very low, I guess. Well, at least in America, in Latin America, a teacher is, we don't. I'm a teacher myself too in Mexico, and we don't make enough. It's just for love to shape the future of the young generations, but really the money is very, very.
I know. But it wasn't even that. It was the fact that when I do something 100% or I don't do it. So I gave everything to that, to those jobs that I had and to teaching I taught adults, but I gave everything I had and it only resulted in me burning out. I just suffered a massive burnout. It was accumulation of all the years and everything that I had been through. And that burnout lasted for about 9 months. And it was right at the end that I just suddenly had, I call it my calling, because it just suddenly dawned on me what I was meant to do. And that was teaching, but coaching. That's when I decided. That's when I realized who I really was. It was just like a revelation.
And now, are you happy with this new life?
Oh yeah, I'm absolutely, yes, it's wonderful. This new life is wonderful. Of course, I started out by coaching, doing what I knew what to do. That was coaching, business coaching, all the business and all the experience I had. But I quickly moved over to life coaching because I'm a people person. And that, because I had all the life experience, that was it. So I got certified as a life coach. And then little by little, other tools came along. So I just put them all into my toolbox. And the latest one is the NLP, but the one I like the most is the RTT, which is Rapid Transformational Therapy. That really makes a difference.
Talking about this very, very briefly, tell us more about this this new method from the very famous UK psychology. What's the name of this woman? Marisa Peer.
This is Marisa Peer.
Tell us a little bit about this technique.
Well, RTT is Rapid Transformational Therapy, and we use the techniques of hypnosis. The difference being that in traditional hypnosis, the induction, so getting people into hypnosis, is very long. It can take 15 minutes to induce somebody into a hypnotic state. With RTT, we can do it in a couple of minutes. That's the rapid. So she invented this method of rapid transformational therapy. Using the technique of hypnosis, we regress people into, I'm not saying their past lives, sometimes we do go into past lives, but we go into wherever the problem is. So we go to the root cause. People come to us for a reason. Anything, could be anything. So that's the preparation that we have. I will know why a person is coming to me. So I prepare a script for them because we script everything out. But there's one part of the therapy that we as therapists do not have any control over, because we regress our clients or patients or whatever you want to call them into a past, into one of their pasts. And I'm saying that like that because it's into, everything has a root cause in your life. It can be your childhood, it could be in the womb and you've heard your parents, and it can be further away. It can be from a past life, meaning your grandmother, great-grandmother, or something else, because all the memories are stored in our subconscious memory. And we are affected by everything. So something could have happened, you could have heard it, it could have been repeated over and over again, and even a baby in the womb can hear that and understands it, and the subconscious mind keeps that memory.
Wow.
And whatever you are coming to me or any of the other practitioners for, that is where your subconscious mind will take us. So we work with your subconscious mind, and then we create a transformational recording for you to listen to for 28 days, and your problem is gone. It's eliminated.
Very fast. It's the big difference, and it's
like
go
that.
to the very deep in the subconscious mind,
Yeah.
and it's like to start again. It's like a start over.
Well, yes, because being in those scenes, we call them scenes, will take you back to at least 3 scenes. And then it's like a detective. So we're going to do some detective work in there and ask you a few questions. And then you're going to take a snapshot, and you've got these pictures in your hand, and you are here in the other hand, and we connect the dots. And once you've connected the dots, you can leave it. You can say, yeah, this is not me. It's not me. It was, it's not anymore. I don't need it.
The method can be, for example, if someone hired you for this technique, is it possible to do it by Zoom?
Yeah, I do it. I'm working with Zoom all the time. Yeah.
Oh my God. And what is the range of the fees? Not the price, but the ranges. It's more, I guess this is more expensive than a regular coach session, I guess.
Oh, yes, because there's a lot of work, pre-work. We have to get, I send you a questionnaire because we have to know a little bit. There's also a disclaimer. We have to make sure that medically we can use the hypnotic techniques. On some people we cannot use hypnotic techniques. I have to know all of that beforehand. So there's a lot of work before, and for the 28 days afterwards, I check in every day to make sure everything is okay. So it's a whole, it's takes about, let's say, 6 weeks.
6
weeks of my time.
I understand. No, it's not a session that I'm done.
Oh,
and
no. I just don't say bye and I'll leave you there. No, not at all. So for one person, if I'm doing one session, it can be anything from 400 euros to, depending on however many sessions you need.
Starting 400. Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah. Well, thank you for this information. And talking about when you moved to Belgium in the beginning, what stereotypes did you face for being British?
None.
Any?
No, none at all. But don't forget, I was coming from Britain into a European Union environment. So everybody was a stranger there. We had the Italians, the Spanish, the Germans, the French, everybody. It's like another country. The difference, and it wasn't even a stereotype. Nobody ever asked me, oh, you're British, well, kind of thing. When I left the European Union, that was the most difficult part, coming into Belgium. Nobody has ever said anything about being British, even now, when there's Brexit. I mean, the only thing that's the problem, which is not a problem, it's just a little bit of hassle, is that I've got permanent residency here in Belgium. I just have to redo all the things to get a different ID card. That's all.
But for example, some people tell me a few days ago, I interviewed another woman from UK, and she told me, for example, the the people think that she always on time. She's kind of cold, a cold person, you know. And she told me, no. He said, I'm totally different. I'm not cold. I'm warm. And I don't like tea. You know, all the kind of stereotypes that people think, about the people from UK. That's why
Yeah,
I
okay,
asked.
maybe something. One thing now that you just said that, one thing people said to me, oh yeah, the food, the cuisine, the UK, the British cuisine, it's not very nice, is it? And I said, well, yeah, you know. And then I would cook a British meal, kind of the typically British meal, and they say, oh, this is nice. I said, well, yeah, of course it's nice. It's just a myth that the Brits can't cook. I'm British, I can cook. You know,
Oh.
I can actually cook. Yeah.
Oh my God! You see, there are always
I
stereotypes.
forgot about that one. I forgot about that. Yes, yes, it's true.
Well, in the beginning, you told me about the challenges that you encounter for working for the European Union, and but for when you just finally got a job in the corporate world in Belgium, what was your recipe for success? You suffered a lot to find a job, but what did you
Yeah.
do to finally get that job that you in a company in Belgium?
I'm the type of person who observes. I watch. I've always been like that. I watch and I integrate, and then I think, oh, that's how it works. To adapt, just simply to adapt. Don't go in, you know, like a bull in a china shop, because then obviously you're going to break everything. Yeah. Accept, you know, just to think, okay, it's different. It's not like in the UK, or it was not like it was in the European Union. Let me have a look how it is. So I'm that type of person. I just observe a lot, and I think that's the recipe to success. And now in my coaching as well, I observe.
Observe that people behavior, you know, people
I
behavior.
observe, yeah, I will observe my clients. I will watch them. I will listen to what they say. So it's like in everything, you use your eyes and your ears. Yeah. And your feeling. What does it feel like? Do you get a strange feeling? It's not good.
The instincts that tell us this is something wrong here.
Yeah. But again, if you get a strange feeling, you know, I always get it right here in the pit of my stomach like this, but sometimes it can be excitement. It's not always wrong. So you have to learn to notice the difference, you know, and I can get that with a client as well. I think, no, there's something off here. This is not going to work, you know, or this is going to be fantastic.
I see. Oh, the energy, the vibes that you feel with them.
That's it. The energy. Yes.
Yeah, they happen to me too. When someone sometimes feel this person has something that I don't like it, so I prefer not to work with this person. And you know, because I pay attention to my instincts, and they are never wrong if I listen to them. So I understand what you're saying.
Always listen to your instincts. Always.
That is the base. And what is the what differences did you find in the corporate culture between UK and in Belgium? That way of you know that I want the people to understand the differences when you work in UK, when you work in Belgium. It must be some differences, cultural type, or something that was just for people to understand, because every country is a little world, you know.
Yeah. Well, things may have changed now in England, but here and also here in Belgium, and COVID hasn't helped with that at all. But I've always found that the Belgian corporates were more formal, colder. In England, it's kind of, it was very easy to call the boss even by his first name. Your own Christian name. That was it. And your private life was part of the job, if you like. You could talk about anything. The family was part of the job, a little bit like in the US. So it's more the same thing as well. But here in Belgium, there's a distinct line between private and professional. The private life is the private life, and nobody will know anything about it.
So they are very strict. They never say, oh, my husband, oh, my kids, never. It's always work, work, work. And the people are very, how can I say, very private.
Very private.
Very private compared
very
to UK. Oh.
Yeah, that's the worst part, and it still is today. Even though I've been here for 40 something years, I've still got that very open, and the Belgians are very closed, I would say. Yeah, extremely. And when you go to the north of the country, it's even worse.
Oh my gosh, even worse.
Even worse than that, yeah. They're even more closed, if you could be any more closed, yeah.
Complicated. So so one of the big differences about the people behavior that they are.
Yes, it's their behavior. Yeah.
So it's difficult to make friends, I guess, in this kind of culture in general, because in the United States you can make a friend, maybe not many, but maybe one friend at work, and it's okay. In Mexico, the same thing, but in Belgium, it's almost impossible to have a friend at work.
It takes time for them to, well, they will do the same thing that I usually do, is observe, but it takes them a lot longer to trust you. And even when you gain their trust, they will never be open about their family life, their kids, what they're doing. When it comes to Friday evening, it's see you on Monday, that's it. We'll never say anything about the weekend, what we're doing, nothing. That is something that I miss. Yeah.
I can imagine. It's hard. Yeah. So Belgium is a country where there is diversity or inclusion. You mean people from different countries, or just most of people are from there?
No, it's a very diversified country. I can't remember. I think there were 162 different nationalities living in Belgium, especially Brussels. But Brussels is the home to the European Union, to NATO, to all kinds of things. The head offices are there, so it's a very, very culturally diverse community. The capital city is also home to lots of immigrants. So less so as Brussels being right in the center of the country. If you go to the north, which is the Flemish part, it's different. And when you go down to the south, it's also very different, because there you see less of the diversification. It's a different culture.
It depends on the area that you live.
Depends
For example,
on
where do you live exactly?
I live in Wavre, which is like 30 kilometers south east of Brussels. So I'm not in the center, I'm not in the capital city, I'm just southeast of it, in a place they call, it's Wallonia, so that's it's in the French-speaking part. Brussels is a mixture of everything, because in Brussels you can hear I don't know how many languages, and in the north it's basically Flemish or Dutch.
And if there is diversity, do you think that people in Belgium discriminate other people, or they are very open?
Yes, they do. Yeah,
they discriminate.
Lots of discrimination.
Yeah, for the behavior that you mentioned at work, I can imagine that.
Yeah, but not too much for the European nationalities. It's more from people from Maghreb and Mashrek countries, the North African countries. There's a lot of discrimination, a lot. Yeah.
So the black people.
Not only black people, but if you look at even the Mediterranean coastline, like Morocco, Tunisia, and everything, it's there's a lot of distrust, a lot of discrimination. Yeah.
Okay, I guess it's hard to live there with this kind of people. So, do you think that there is well-being? The people who live in Belgium have a well-being, financially, socially, culturally, well-being?
It depends on where you live. The northern part of the country, so the Dutch-speaking part, is the richest part. Brussels, capital city, is where all the European institutions and everything are. So it's a little bit of both. You have areas which are very poor, and you have areas which are very rich. And then as you come down to the south, where I live, it's closer to the capital city, so it's a richer environment. But as you go further south, that's where you get the old mining communities. That's the poorer regions.
Oh my God, it depends.
Because there used to be coal mines here.
Well, now let's talk about the basics. I will mention some aspects, and you will elaborate each one. For example, food. Food. Tell us some dishes that are important that people who move to Belgium must taste.
Okay. Well, lobsters and mussels, of course. Then you've got there's dishes which are typical of each region. So you've got towards the coast, it's more like the fish and the mussels and the lobsters and crab and everything else. Into Brussels, you've got typical dishes which like chicory. It's a vegetable which you roll up in ham with a white sauce, cheese on top, and grated in the oven, gratiné, they say gratiné, and that is absolutely delicious.
Yummy,
they make meatballs in tomato sauce, but it's a specific way to do it with fries. It's always with fries.
Always with fries.
Oh, absolutely delicious as well. And oh yeah, food is very good. And then as you go towards the French border, it becomes more French style cuisine. So we get everything. We're lucky. We're actually very lucky here in Belgium because there's so many different things. Of course, right now, this time with COVID, no restaurants are open. There's nothing.
It's obvious. It's almost all the world is the same thing, but in general,
but otherwise, it's really good to live. The food-wise, it's fantastic. And then you got the British and the chocolates, the Belgian chocolates.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you. Is it true that Belgium is the capital of chocolates?
Oh,
what are the most famous? More popular?
Leonidas, Godiva, Neuhaus. There's all of these. Marcolini. They're all very good.
Godiva is very famous, so delicious. When I was in Dubai, I was on vacation and I was impressed because I haven't seen before a restaurant, a Godiva restaurant. So I was very impressed. Is in Belgium some Godiva restaurants?
I don't know how many different types of restaurants there are. You get every kind of restaurant of the world over here.
Yeah, but I mean from the name of the chocolate. For example, Godiva.
That you're talking about the chocolates. Oh, sorry, but I didn't. No. Yes. Marcolini especially.
Yeah. So it's a good place to go.
But I would choose Leonidas, but that's not, they don't have a specific place where you can go and eat them. But my favorite is Leonidas.
Leonidas, okay.
That's my favorite.
Noted. Yeah. Oh, impressive. Yeah, the chocolate. No, so about the food,
food
you have a lot of. And about lifestyle, how do the people have fun? Talking before COVID.
Before COVID. Okay. Belgians travel a lot. It's the people who live in the north, so at the coast, go down to the Ardennes, which is the I won't say, mountains, but very small mountainous, it's more like valleys than mountains, but the people who live at the coast will come down to the valleys, and the people in the valleys will go to the coast. It's transhumation. So that's just like what it is. And international travel as well, lots of traveling. People like to enjoy themselves. They like to go out for a drink, for cocktails or whatever, into the cafes, into restaurants, and obviously everything that we can't do now. So it's very lively, extremely lively. Yeah. There's always something to do, and then there's tons of museums, and you name it, you've got it here.
Also, it's a good place to have fun and
Yeah.
a lot of activities. And
Yes.
about the culture, customs, and traditions, maybe a famous festival, a tradition that got your attention in the beginning when you just got there.
When I just came in, yeah, because there's a tradition that I think it's more often now, or it will be more often. In Brussels itself, they have a tradition that every 2 years they make a carpet full of flowers. So we have they call it the Grand Place, which is the marketplace in Brussels. It's a huge marketplace. And they create carpets with begonias. So all these different colors of begonias, and they just draw a pattern of flowers, and it creates a carpet. And that's every August. Every 2 years in August. I think now they do it every year, or at least they did it every year. That was one of them. And then in the southern parts, there's one near the French border. It was called the Doudou, which was like conquering the dragon. Yeah, and it was it's folklore. And then in La Louvière as well, another set of folklore is les Gilles de Binche, with all the big hats and all the feathers, ostrich feathers. It's folklore.
Interesting.
Yeah, folklore. Yeah.
No, a lot of it's very even for vacation. Sounds amazing, and it's a safe country for women. Talking about women, it's safe to be there, to live there for a woman.
I think it is. I think it is. Now, like in every country, there are certain spots where man or a woman, it's best not to go.
Yeah.
But that's in every country.
But in general terms, I'm talking about general terms, it's a safe place.
It's very safe. It's very, very safe. Very safe. Yeah. I have never felt unsafe anywhere here.
That is amazing. It's a good, good feeling to feel safe in a place. Yeah. And what about the accommodation? Is it very expensive compared to UK?
I think it's well, it depends on where in the UK as well. But if you're talking about like London, it's less expensive, I think.
General.
Yeah, from what I've heard, it's less expensive. Living in the capital city is more expensive than where I live here. That's not why I came to live here, but it was just because it just happened. But no, you can buy a very nice, like 3 or 4 bedroomed house for 300,000 or 400,000 euros, which you cannot do in the UK.
No, of course not.
No, you forget it. No, but here you can, and that's even in one of the 19 provinces, communes rather, of Brussels. If you come here to where I live, something like 300,000, you get a huge house.
So you can get a big house and not only apartments, like for example, in Paris, that most of the places are very small, very expensive. Maybe in Belgium, there's more, there are more opportunities to have a better house for a cheaper.
Yeah, here where I am now, this is an apartment. We have 3 bedrooms in this apartment. We're looking to move because it was funny really. We used to live in a big house, and then we kind of said, okay, let's try living in a smaller place in an apartment. And I still wanted to, that was 3 years ago, and I'm still thinking, why did we move into an apartment? So now we want to move back into a house.
A big house.
Yes.
How many people do live with you?
Well, for the moment, it's just my partner and I. But we have grandchildren. We've got 8 grandchildren. What do you want me to do with them in an apartment? So that was something that we kind of zapped, just forgot about them. And now, obviously, we're looking for a house because then the kids can come over again and they can sleep over with grandma and grandpa, and then they'll be happy because that's all they want to do. And quite honestly, that's what grandma wants as well.
I see. for the family. You want a better place, you know, if it's bigger.
Yeah.
And the language, for what you're saying, the official languages is French and Dutch?
French, Dutch, and German.
Oh my gosh, 3 different languages in the same country? So you need, do you need to speak the 3 languages to survive? Or you just
No.
move to the area where the people speak French and you focus on French, or how do you survive there?
Well, most people speak English as well, so you can add a 4th language. So there's 4 languages, which is English. If you are looking for a job in corporate life, they will ask you to speak the 4 languages. Even if you don't need to work in the 4 languages,
Oh
it's just that they need to know that you can communicate in the 4 languages. And it's normal here.
4 language, imagine that. So English, because it's the official language around the world for communicate, but they're French, Dutch, and German.
Yeah.
3. So it's very difficult to, for example, for a Latino to speak 3 languages for just to move to Belgium. No, my gosh, no.
Well, you can easily learn a language. A language is a way of to communicate. You just
no, yeah, but it's very complicated. You know, some people,
it's a little
when
bit
you
more.
don't have the skills, you know, it's I think it's a kind of gift to speak so many languages.
Yes, but that's also why they have so many language schools over here. Why do you think that I worked in a language school from the beginning?
Yeah, because it's important. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
3 official languages. I didn't know. Oh.
Yeah.
And the French, the people speak is the same from France?
Well, it's only the accent, the accent changes and the dialects. They're dialects.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's exactly the same.
Because in Canada, if you move to Montreal, for example, the French from France is kind of different, very different. But in this case, no, it's very similar with, you can, okay.
Yep.
Good to know, good to know. And the weather, how's the weather? Most of the
Okay, that is a different matter. It rains a lot, not quite as much as in England. It doesn't get too cold. I mean, lately, well, don't get me wrong. I mean, we've had some very cold winters, like about when was it? 6 years ago. Once or twice in winter, we had minus 23 degrees. But lately, it's not cold. Today, for example, was 12 degrees. It was raining a little bit. It's 12 degrees. That's not bad. We do get the climate is changing. So when it's hot, it's really hot. But really hot, like 42, 43 degrees.
So most of the year is kind of cold or it's half and a half?
Half and half, I would say.
Not so bad compared to other countries.
No, not so bad. But when it's 42 degrees, it's not very comfortable.
I can't imagine.
But I don't think anywhere is very comfortable at 42 degrees.
Yeah. And what would you say to people? What are the do's and don'ts of living in Belgium? Do's and don'ts.
Do's and don'ts of living in Belgium. Don't try to force your habits onto the Belgians. That will not work. I would always say to somebody, Belgium is a great place to live. Observe. Watch what other people do. I'm not saying do exactly the same. No, adapt your way of living so that you can, I was going to say melt in. It's not really that, but it's become part of the community. Because if you keep your habits and your way of living and everything, there's nothing wrong with it. And, you know, I'm the first to say, don't lose your identity, but do not impose your identity on somebody else either.
Oh, I understand. It's totally different that you adapt. I try to force other people that have your own.
Because if you choose to come to Belgium, you choose because of a reason. There's a reason for that, even if it's only the reason to come to work, like mine was at the beginning. But you have to adapt to their way of living as well. You can't come here and change all the rules all at once. No, that doesn't work. So I would say it's a wonderful place to live, actually. Yeah.
In general, in general, it's a good place to.
It's a good place. It's a very, very good place to live.
I said, well, the thing that you mentioned about the people, kind of, I didn't like a lot, but well, there are other wonderful things about that. And what secret or secrets can you share with us that nobody told you, and you, well, you have appreciated if someone told you something that you say, oh my gosh, I should have known that. Something, want to share a secret that nobody told you when you moved to Belgium?
It was more about how each area of Belgium, how different it is and how beautiful it is. When you go around visiting places, it's not very well represented in tourism agencies or in the books or anything, but places are absolutely magnificent. I'm speaking French to you now. I just completely reverted into French, but that's okay. Nobody ever told me how beautiful places like Bruges were, for example. They just said, oh yeah, it's got a lot of canals, it's like Venice. But okay, like Venice. So you think of, the Piazza San Marco. You think of things like that. You think of the canals. You think it's a bit smelly. It's not. You've got the typical architecture of the buildings. You've got these canals. And you have got these boats, not gondolas, obviously, but you've got these things. You've got the lace makers. You've got so many beautiful things to see. The coast, when you go down to the beach, you've got these huge beaches. I've never seen a beach as wide as that. I mean, I don't know how many meters it is long before you get to the sea. It's absolutely enormous. And as well in the Ardennes, it's the beauty of the landscaping, the countryside and everything. So many beautiful things to see, and nobody ever told me that.
They were very, very simple in the description, and
so
just
simple. Yeah, so simple. And how can I say? Yeah, I was talking about Bruges, and I've been here now for 40 something years, and I still haven't got to see Bruges. That's my fault, I know. But it's just a question of making time to do so. But that's something that people should have told me.
And talking about tourist places, someone just moved to Belgium. Let's see, in the place that you live. Tell us what places they should visit when they just arrive.
Well, then I would say go to the capital city. The Grand Place, the Atomium, there's all the different towns. Each little place has its particularity. And I would say start with the capital city. And then you can either go north or you go south, whichever. But start with the capital city and get to know that first.
And tell me one place in the north, one place in the south.
In the north, then I would say Bruges, which is, where they have all the lace makers and the canals and everything. And in the south, it would be, again, it's a French name, sorry, but it's the Domaine des Hauts-de-Fagne, which is it's a valley. They're all valleys, lots of greenery. It's countryside. It's beautiful places and calm, peace.
Wow, a lot of things to do. Even for vacation, it sounds like, oh my gosh, I want to go. And Karen, any website, association that can you recommend to those who listen to us? For expats, for expats, website.
Well, I don't think you could call me an expat anymore, but there used to be the Bulletin, and I think they made a website of it. The Bulletin is very good for the Brits coming in to Belgium. They talk about all kinds of stuff, from accommodation to visiting to how to register yourself at the town hall and everything, and all the stuff that you can do. I would say the Bulletin is a very good one.
Okay, for
Yeah.
people, okay. Um, in the case, speaking of immigration regulations, what is your status? Are you a citizen or just have permission to live? Or
I am a permanent citizen of Belgium. I have this, what they call an E plus card right now, not being Belgian because I've got my British nationality. But because of Brexit, they're changing the E to an M. I don't know what the M stands for, but
oh,
I've got to change it all to the M. So apart from that,
I see. Everything changed with Brexit. It
oh,
seems like terrible for everyone.
yeah.
And what do you miss most about your country?
What do I miss most? Perhaps the warmth of the people, you
People.
know, yeah, perhaps the warmth of the people there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And finally, well, you already mentioned about your keys to success that you told us about listen, try to adapt. So this is covered.
Yeah.
So finally, something else that you want to share with us. It can be a quote, a suggestion, or just whatever you want to say to end the podcast, this episode today.
Well, I don't know if it's typically, well, I suppose it is to do with being in the country and everything. When you decide to come to a different country, you will encounter problems in any country, not only in Belgium. I would say two things. First of all, it's never give up. And secondly, and the quote comes from somebody I've always admired very much. And when I say it, you know who it is. And it's, yes, we can.
Yes, we
From
can.
Barack Obama.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we can.
Wow. Oh, what a
Yeah.
beautiful words for ending this episode, Karen. Thank you very much for being here, for sharing all your knowledge, your wonderful experience, background.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you very much for being here today with me and for all the things that you told us about your life and your
You're
experiences.
welcome. I was very happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening. Visit our website www.welum.com section Women Inspire. And don't miss our next episode.